There is a new feature on social media. Guess what, guys? Now, there is a new feature that prevents people from replying to your tweets. I can hear your thoughts from where I'm sitting. Well, Twitter is cancer. Twitter is garbage. And I wholeheartedly agree. However, it has now been established as a way of communicating with lots of people all at once. A lot of these tech companies, and especially Twitter, spend most of, if not all of their resources trying to find ways to fence things off even more, wrapping it up in bubble wrap, child-proofing the internet, so to speak. This isn't something most people are asking for. In fact, there seems to be a vast majority of people that are against this sort of thing. Now that the brand of Twitter has been established, there is no longer an incentive for them to push more communication. They are now focusing on moderation, heavy-handed moderation. After spending the last few years trying to sweep up what they call misinformation, and usually this misinformation is really clarification, and is more often than not more accurate than what they are pushing as the official truth. Take, for example, Zero Hedge. All kinds of alternative media are being stifled across the internet, be you left, right, or center. So now that these supposed misinformation agents, or whatever they might be called, now that these people are no longer allowed on Twitter, a lot of the people looking to correct the record moved over to like ABC and some of their posts. Whenever there's an inaccurate story, you can likely find clarification in the replies. Twitter did implement a hide reply section, which is typically rarely utilized. I've only seen O.J. Simpson use it. As these moderation practices continue to grow in number, how do you think regular people are handling this? What do you think people are out there doing right now? Well, they can't go outside, and if they have a doctor's note to leave the house, make sure that they walk one way across the sidewalk. Oh, and mandatory masks. Despite the fact that on the box of masks it says that this doesn't even protect you. On an aside, all of this anti-mask hysteria, you know what it is. It's conditioning. It's a shaming ritual. But anyway, people are becoming more and more comfortable with carrying water for these tyrannical tech companies. On one hand, they'll tell you, the rules are unfair. Look what they did to my boy. And then when the tables turn ever so slightly, it's, hey, no, we gotta go after this Twitch personality that had a slip-up on one of their streams. Time to throw the book at them. They'll admit that the moderation is too strict, but as soon as somebody they don't like could potentially have the rules interpreted in a way to where they're in violation of TOS, suddenly, no one cares all that much about trying to keep everybody online. In the end, not even just these personalities on the internet, everybody seems to have become a complete sellout. Everyone cheering on, reporting, and contacting sponsors, and just a lot of really gross stuff. So while all of these alternative outlets, the ones that are still allowed to speak at least, while they're out and contacting each other's sponsors and trying to get each other removed from the internet, while all of that's going on, all the people who are in charge, the ones that are benefiting from all of these rainbow ops, they're sitting around, of course, selling everybody's personal information to advertisers. Remember, there's no such thing as a free lunch. Facebook, Twitter, they're gathering information on you to sell to potential advertisers. And every once in a while, when they're taking breaks selling your information to different entities, probably China, they go to speak to some news outlet or to some influential UN group or whatever, and they'll speak honestly and sincere about how much they care about freedom of speech. But we need to moderate. We need to prevent other perspectives from being expressed on our platform. A quick reminder that Twitter is not a private business, by the way, and they have accepted tax dollars, money that you and I have paid for. They accepted tax dollars in order to get help building their company. But now that they no longer care all that much about freedom of speech and troublesome things like American values, now that their company is established, so established that any alternative to it immediately faces financial issues. Really, what a coincidence. But now that they are established and no one can challenge them, now they're interested and controlling the narrative, doing a little bit of janitorial work, so to speak. I know some of you are probably thinking this isn't very important. Why are you even making a video on this? The reason for it is this. Slowly being chiseled away are our abilities to correct the record. I have no experience with Facebook and how they moderate, but I would imagine it's pretty much the same. I've heard all the news stories, that's for sure. Social media in general has become a vessel for the mainstream media. Remember, cable news is on its way out. This is their new way of surviving, and that includes colluding with Twitter, with Facebook, with YouTube, with Google, in order to manipulate search results, to shut down smaller channels. And that reminds me, there's a fella that does a channel called H3H3 that just very likely got a smaller channel, Augie RFC. They do a bit of a talk show, and well, let's just say that his channel was featured in an H3H3 video, and the next day, demonetized. Just like that. He has the connections, folks. Got Keemstar's sponsor G Fuel, one of the things that people associate with him directly and his brand. That got shut down because H3H3, Ethan from H3H3, the furry, just shows up, snaps his fingers, and the whole world lines up to meet his demands. And now YouTube shuts down this young man's channel. They're holding his $2,000 in AdSense. They're holding it as collateral until, maybe he's a little bit more friendly with advertisers in the future. Now, whatever Ethan and Keemstar are doing, I'm not a fan of either of them, but going after somebody's sponsors is shady, it is slimy, it is scumbag behavior. But what is even worse than that is a channel with more than 1 million. I don't know what the exact number is, but I know it's past 7 digits. Big channel, gets to talk with Susan from YouTube, using his connections to shut down the monetization and effectively the growth of this young man's channel, Augie RFC. It's beyond anything that I can say on this platform. Absolute scumbag behavior. Ethan should be ashamed of himself. I don't know that he has the capacity. He probably thinks he's such a good guy in this. But you just destroyed this young man's hobby and robbed him of money that he earned from his audience. It's one thing to go after Keemstar's sponsors, which is shady. It's another thing entirely. It's a whole new low to go after a channel of his size and try to shut him down. Now, it's not just the money. How would you feel if somebody took $2,000 right from out of your pocket? But more than that, they also ruined your ability to make money in the future, being a small channel that has no ability to really speak up for itself. There are different designations for videos that makes them pop up into recommended feeds. Once you're demonetized, your videos don't even pop up in your subscribers' subscription feeds. It makes creating content almost entirely pointless, because not only are you not going to make your $5, the people who do want to see these videos, they are being forced to jump through unnecessary hoops. Like, make sure you check the channel manually every so often because they just pulled us out of subscription feeds. And there is no consistent rule for why this happens. Sometimes for live streams on my channel and many others that I've seen, your live stream doesn't even pop up in the sub feed. You have to go all the way to the channel. You have to know that they're already live. There are so many little tactics that they're doing in order to keep us silent. And I just find it so off-putting that so many people who used to speak up against this sort of thing are now running for it. They're so eager to carry water for these tyrannical tech companies. I don't know what else to say. And we're approaching that 10-minute mark, so I'm going to be generous to the viewer and end before we hit that double ad break time.